Boom! We are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome, one and all, to the greatest show on earth. We have an amazing show for you guys today. Thank you guys for jumping in here. I see we've got Haley in here. We've got Maggie. Maggie, what's going on, my friend? Thank you for being in here. I hope you're having a fantastical and amazing day. Let's see who else we got. Oh, Kevin. I'm actually going to go meet up with Kevin today. Kevin and I are going to go. We've got a mutual friend who is Michelle Connors. She's absolutely amazing. She's a doll. She's wonderful. She's actually helping us with some really cool stuff within Zigroko. And so she lives in, like Michelle lives in this whole time. You know what's funny, guys? She told me that she was living in Petersburg. And that's all she said was, Jesse, I live in Petersburg. And I'm like, thinking like, you know, St. Petersburg. I'm sitting here thinking that she's in Florida and she's talking about how cold it is and yada, yada. And I'm like, dude, do you know how cold it is in Alaska, Michelle? It is, you know, it's kind of chilly. And this whole time I thought that she was talking about St. Petersburg in Florida. Lo and behold, unbeknownst to me, and guys, you can't fault me for this because I don't know if you know how big Alaska is, but Alaska is like a third of the United States. If you were to take Alaska and you put it over the entire continental U.S., it takes up a third. Contrary to popular belief, Texas is not the biggest, and bigger is better. And, you know, sorry to anybody who's in Texas, but you are second best. So Michelle is in Alaska, somewhere called Petersburg, Alaska. Still don't even know where that is, but she flew in last night. She got here today, and Kevin and I are going to go meet up with her for lunch at the B-Dubs, which, you know, I haven't had B-Dubs in a while, and so I'm actually kind of rather excited about it. We got BC B-Ran Craig is in the house. What's up, dog? Thank you for being here, man. Aaron, my friend, thank you so much for being here. I miss your face. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Mañana. You know what's really cool, guys? I've got a guest that's coming on today, and we're going to have a really, really great show for you guys. You guys all know who this guy is. He is the man, the myth, the legend, we call him our Greek god. Yes, that's right. Growthco has a Greek god in their presence. He brings not only the muscles, the masculine, the sexiness to our small community over here. Please welcome James Hostert.
What's going on?
What's up, you Greek god? How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. That's a heck of an introduction. Thank you,
dude. Well, thank you. You know, I just get to sit back and enjoy the view today. You know, so thank you. Appreciate you taking care of yourself, so the rest of us can benefit from some eye candy today.
Yeah, no, that's all. That's the only reason why I work out and I do the stuff I do.
Dude, I love your guys' setup. I love what you have in there, man. It looks really freaking dope.
Thank you. I'm just hoping the camera doesn't freaking cut out on me today. I think I fixed everything up. So I took it apart just to mess to see what the inside of the camera looked like, because I might have broke it and dropped it during one of my Zooms. There's a lot of stuff going on inside of a camera. I'm just saying that. So for anyone that works with that.
Well, it seems to be working, dude. We can hear you. We can see you.
Fantastic. Then
how's your day going?
It's going good. Actually got back from the gym a couple hours ago, and
naturally
emails.
Did you work out today?
Legs, or I guess leg. that sounds.
You worked out your one good leg?
Yeah, I worked out my one good leg. I've been trying to. So I just got back into physical therapy, and the doctor said I should be lifting heavy with my leg. So I did that, and I got a whole 25 pounds on the leg extension machine. It was insane. It was just crazy.
Whew, big day for James. All right, dude.
I know. Right. It's crazy. So working out one side and then working out the other side to get like what I could do, and then 25 pounds for the other. So it's it's weird.
I can imagine, man. Well, we appreciate you for being here. You look like you're in good spirits. I saw Erin Piercelli. She's in here. You know what? I am just tickled pink. For those of you guys that don't know, myself, James, Chris, Angel, Kevin, and Shane and Amber, we all put on a mastermind in Las Vegas, which we definitely need to do another one. It was so much fun. And here's the thing about it. It was a mastermind that was it was about real estate. But the things that we went through, the things that everybody got to experience was so personal. It was far beyond real estate. There was communication. There was vulnerability. There was so many things on such a personal level that I've never seen in not only any kind of an event, but let alone a real estate event. And James, those are some of that was definitely the highlight of the year for me. Me and James got to bunk together, and so I got to see James in the shower.
Yeah, it was great. It was like basic training all over again.
Yeah. No, it was good, man. It was a lot of fun. For those of you guys that don't know, I see some new faces in here. Sabrina, kind of new, maybe not really super new. I don't know that I've seen your name a lot in here, but for those of you guys that don't know, we like to have a good time here. So I hope you guys appreciate the satire when we come on and do these lives. We like to have a good time. I like to keep everybody engaged. Dude, Vegas was awesome. We definitely need to have another Vegas trip. I don't know if you saw Aaron's message in the group chat, but dude, everybody that went to Vegas 6 months ago, I've never seen an accountability group that is still as active and communicates and is serving and loving, and I've never seen a group chat leaving an event like that's still going on. And so we're having our meetup with everybody who's in VIP tomorrow, man. I'm really excited for that. So really excited for the next one. But today, we're not talking about Vegas. Today, ladies and gents, we are talking about building and scaling your business. Throw it in the chat right now. I want you guys to tell me. I got to have a number. I got to see this in a number format. How many hours a week are you guys spending on your business right now? I'm going to be able to. I'm going to ask that question. I'm going to see who actually knows, based on how fast people are posting their numbers, versus people who don't track their time. Uh-oh. Either there's a delay on my end, or you got everybody that's like counting on like 2 fingers trying to add up how much time am I actually spending in my business. We did a Zoom maybe about 5 or 6 weeks ago or so, and it was really interesting because what we did during that Zoom was a time and energy audit. Man, it was probably closer to 2 months now that I think about it. And I asked that question. I took everybody through how to do a time and energy audit and where they were spending their time and account for it and all that kind of stuff. And it was really interesting because we had people that were, between generating leads, between calling on the leads, between organizing things in their CRMs, between underwriting. Goodness gracious, the underwriting takes up, a lot of time. Finding buyers, all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's just so much that goes into building and scaling a real estate business. To spend 30 or 40 hours a week, I think, is what needs to go into a business just to stay competitive. Would you agree, James, or what are your thoughts on that, man?
Yeah. There's a lot of people that just don't, like, they want to work 2 hours a week and scale a business that's going to be making $1 million a month. And it's just not realistic. You can hire it out and you could make it to where you don't, maybe don't work as much, but you need a consistent someone, there has to be that work, that growth consistently. Yeah. And it takes time. So a lot of the first year is going to be a lot more than 1 or 2 hours a day, a lot more, and it'll eventually pay off. But that's where you gotta buy back your time with people.
I think that's one thing that most people are missing. I think most people, James, in my experience, are underestimating the amount of time that actually goes into building a business. And I think it's right along the same. Like, if you were to ask, I can't tell you how many people I've talked to, and I know you've talked to a lot of people that probably give you a similar response, where they're like, "Hey, you know what? I called I called 10 sellers this week."
Yeah.
Now, why are you laughing?
I'm laughing
Why are you laughing
because
when somebody tells you I called 10 sellers this week? Why are you laughing?
Because that's what I thought I was going to be doing right away, and that is not the case. And just to get a hold of those 10 sellers, might have dialed a little bit, but I would say to get a hold of 10 sellers, you're spending about 2 hours, and it's just not enough time. You need to be like 10 sellers minimum a day. So like you should be a lot more than that. 10 is what you should be doing like a day minimum. If that's what you're doing. That's not enough. You're not going to get anywhere with that.
So what about James? But well, hold on. Wait a minute though, James. Wait. What if somebody tells you that if somebody says, "Hey, my plan is to leave my W-2. I'm talking to or let's say not even talking to. Let's just say they're making, they made 10 calls this week.
Okay.
And then they say, "Well, James, is this real estate thing even like, is this just a myth?"
Yeah.
I can't get, I can't get a deal. I've been at this for 3 weeks now. I'm calling 10 people a week. And this is just, it just isn't working out. I'm not finding anybody that wants to sell their house. What would you say to them?
Well, it's definitely, real estate is an up and down game. You're going to have your highs, you're going to have your lows, and the lows are going to hurt a lot more than the highs feel good. And so just, you got to build the resiliency. You got to push through it. And you got to, if you're talking to
10 people a week, not even talking to, no, not even talking to, calling 10 people a week.
So if you're making 10 calls, I guarantee you're probably only talking to 1 or 2, and they're probably telling you to F off, which isn't going to be good for anyone trying to scale a business. It's going to seem like, what am I doing wrong? It's going to feel terrible. You're not going to get any
lucky
results.
To close a deal a year.
Yeah. Yeah. We got pretty lucky. Where I could have, my odds were pretty good right away starting off. We got blessed with that. So like out of like 50 calls, we got like 3 deals out of that. So it was ridiculously good. But so that doesn't happen all the time.
And not the rule.
It just depends on where you're at, honestly. But you got to push, you got to up your numbers. Like you should be making, if you want to speak to 10 people a day, not a week, and it shouldn't be a week. You should, minimum 10 people a day. You're going to have to make 100, 150 calls. And that just doesn't seem realistic for most people, because most people are like, oh, I got my family. I got to go to my job. I got to work out if you work out. I got to cook dinner. I got to clean the house. I got to do all this crap. Well, you're going to have to, that's where those hours that we were talking about a little bit earlier, you're going to have to put some hours in, and it's not going to be easy.
100%.
So I would tell somebody, don't give up. You just have to organize your life a little bit better and figure out when you can dedicate that 2 to 3, 4 hours that you're going to need in order to get those deals coming in starting off. If wholesaling is what you're going to be doing, if you're going to be calling people.
I would absolutely agree with that. I think most people are missing the mark on just the amount of time, energy, and effort that goes into something. How much do you think mindset plays a big part in this entire thing?
I became a very prominent prayer. I prayed a lot when I first started doing this, more than I'd ever done before. Just because I needed I don't know, something about it. It's just, I had to pray in order to get through all the negativity that comes from, sellers telling you to F off or whatever, just not having people answer. It takes a lot, and it plays a toll, and your mindset takes a hit. It doesn't matter what you think. So prayed a lot, but it's just one of those things. You're going to have a support system is the best way to put it, to keep it going and keep your mindset healthy, read books and all that fun stuff. It plays a heck of a toll on your mindset.
I would absolutely agree. I think that was probably one of the biggest things that I struggled with the majority of the first couple of years in real estate. Actually, that was the big thing that I struggled with. Was I'm already working a W-2. I was in the Air Force. You were in the Air Force. We're already working all these crazy hours. We have all of these obligations and commitments. And then, like you said, we got family time on top of all this other stuff that you got to do. At the time for me, I had 3 kids. One was a newborn. My wife was working. You had a house to clean. You got to make dinner. You got to put the kids to bed, get everybody bathed. In my case, I also was finishing up my college degree. And then I had to figure out how in the crap was I going to grow a business? How was I going to stay consistent enough? And I think James hit the nail on the head. I think 150 people a day is the amount of calls you need to be making just to even somewhat stay competitive. I think realistically, if you want any chance of like rising above your competition, in my experience anyway, you need to be shooting for 300 to 400 calls a day.
Yeah.
So then how do you do that? I think most people's mindset, and this is where I want to tie mindset in here for a second, because I think when most people hear that, most people's mindset is automatically shutting down. It's automatically, I can't do that. Whereas people like me and you look at that now, when we just look at that, and the question we ask ourselves is, our automatic default setting in our mind isn't, well, I can't do that. This is where I'm at right now. This is what I need to focus on right now. And once I build some momentum, then I can be making 300 to 400 calls a day, which is where we used to be. But your mindset, your my mindset right now is when here's what's crazy is that anybody can do this. Anybody can do this. You want to see where people rise? You ever seen a group of individuals where they got access to the same people, the same materials, the same education, the same resources, but there's always people that like just skyrocket. They're just so much further ahead than anybody else. And they came from the exact same playing field as everybody else. But this isn't a big mindset thing, but I just want to really kind of lay the foundation here before James and I kind of get into into the weeds of what we're going to get into today. Because mindset has everything to do with everything. If you're not making 300 or 400 calls a day and you're trying to build a wholesaling business, then that's what you need to be doing to stay competitive. And the question that James and I would because of the people that we are now, the identity shift that we've had, instead of saying, well, I need to start down here and then build my way up, we just ask ourselves a different question. If I need to be making 400 calls a day, then what in my environment needs to be true in order for me to do that? Now, whether you're building a wholesaling business or you want to get into buy and hold. That was one of the very, very first things that Chris and I ended up doing when we decided we wanted to pivot from wholesaling and just go right into buy and holding. The question that we asked ourselves was, what has to be true in our environment for us to get from where we are to where we want to be going? I've got kids. I've got a wife. I've got a house. They all got school. They've got after school things. They're in basketball. They're in dance recitals. They're doing all these other things. Because let's be real, we all have a family life. We all have a life outside of this business. So we all have the same 24 hours in a day. And whether you live in Florida or you live in Alaska, how are some people making it happen? With the same resources, the same people, the same everything, same access to the same information. It starts with right here. And James, you kind of hinted on this a little earlier when you jumped in. You talked about the importance of understanding how everybody can buy back your time. Not just the person that's running the business, but when you create an environment where everybody gets to just focus on one thing, it allows literally everybody on the team to buy back their time. Talk to me more about that. What do you think most people are missing when it comes to looking at the business, understanding the structure? And then obviously one of the big things I want to get into today is operations. I mean, you're the master at this. You are the Hercules. You are the Greek god when it comes to operations, when it comes to understanding operations, what the whole organization needs to look like, what the priorities need to look like, how things are measured, all that kind of stuff. Like, what do you think most people are missing? Because when I decided to go, I wanted to buy and hold properties. I didn't, not like I just had all of this clarity and was like, oh my gosh, let me just go do this. We just started with asking ourselves the question like, well, in order for us to get from here to here in this amount of time, what needs to be true in our environment? Well, we can't focus on raising money or sourcing deals if we also are overseeing and managing the entire operations of a company. So we need to bring somebody in where that is their superpower. And they don't have to worry about anything else other than the thing that they're naturally good at. And thank my lucky stars, bro. My goodness, that was you. And I'm so grateful for our friendship and our relationship and for your superpower and your perspective and my ability to learn and grow from you and with you. What do you think most people are missing when you tell people, hey, you know what? The reason your business isn't making money because you don't have enough time in your day to handle and manage and oversee everything in the operations, and then start building your Rolodex of relationships to go and raise capital from and source deals from.
Yeah.
It's almost like making 10 calls a week and then being like, it's been 6 months. I don't have my deal. It's like, well, no shit.
Yeah.
How much time are you spending in your business? So go ahead. I'd just love to get your perspective on this. What do you think most people are missing when it comes to understanding?
So just from my experience, and everyone knows this book, everyone's probably seen this book, is Rocket Fuel. But in Rocket Fuel, you got visionaries, you got integrators, right? Typically your operations is going to fall under the integration. It's going to be a little bit more hands-on management, all that stuff, acquisitions, all that sort of fun stuff that visionaries just aren't good at. So to tie that all together, people are doing too much. They're doing way too much, which is worse than not doing enough. Because if you're doing too much,
shit, dude,
you are going to be doing less than the person that isn't doing enough. I know that doesn't make any sense to any of y'all, but if you guys have your hands in every single cookie jar, chances are you're not going to get a cookie out of any of them. Whereas the one that's moving really slow on the one cookie jar, probably going to pull a cookie out. But so many people are so focused on growing their business, and they think they got to do everything. And when it comes to operations, it's not realistic. I am so happy y'all brought me on, because this my happy place is getting shit done. Pardon the language, but getting stuff done. That's where I thrive. I like to delegate. I like to handle stuff. It's just kind of, my thing. The military kind of instilled that in me. But when you have a visionary, when someone like you that inspires others, that comes up with ideas, that's constantly thinking of new ways to grow the business, looking at new ways to develop outreach, build a brand, that visionary cannot operate operations as well. Cannot do it. There's
Dude,
no
amen
way.
to that. You are right on the fucking. Let me just say, amen. You are 100% right. that is something I could not do.
I'm not saying, and just to get y'all, just to make it clear, he could do it if he put his time, energy, and effort into it. But if he did that, guess what the business would do? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So one of the things that I think is lacking is intentionality when it comes to people and what they want to do. So everyone wants to be that unicorn. And I mentioned Rocket Fuel earlier, and you got visionaries, you got integrators. Everyone wants to be that 1%. They talk about that unicorn in the book where it's like they're both. Chances are they are not both. They just don't know how to make up their mind. They don't know what to do. So I would say a vision and intentionality is what most people need in their business, and they think they got it. Most of the people could swear by their life that they have it and that they're doing things right. They're just that good. They can do that much. And I'm here to tell you, you can't. It's just not, even if you can do it, you're hurting yourself more than the person not doing enough. So for the purpose of building a successful business and not one that dies out within a year, like most businesses, intentionality and finding, let's see if I can reach it, because we were talking about this a little bit, but this might be backwards, but it says who, finding your who. And that's for everything. I talked about it earlier. Operations, I'm a who. You got your social media marketing, all that. There's who's that you put in place. And instead of looking at it as a cost, people need to be looking at it as an investment and put these people in the right positions. So that way for instance, my operations, I can do my thing and I don't have to worry about doing, the visionary side of things. So when it comes to operations, sum this all up, you gotta find that person that's gonna fit that role, and you gotta let them go. You gotta trust them. You gotta
talk to me about that, because I think what you just said was such a key thing. I think, and that's something I got to consistently remind myself to come back and convey when we're talking about this type of stuff. Because for me, by now, I mean, and I'm sure you as well, just being, we spent 15 years in the Air Force. We're Air Force trained leaders. I don't think anybody else in the world produces better leaders than the Air Force, in my humble opinion.
Amen.
I'll even go back. I'll even go a step further and say specifically the Air Force. They really invest in their people more than any other branch. And something that you and I were kind of just bred into since we were 18 years old was how to become a leader and how to delegate and how to give feedback, how to make that connection, how to empower and inspire, your people and your team. And one thing that you just brought up that I think a lot of people miss the mark on is when you bring somebody on, giving them the reins, the freedom to take control over that domain. Tell me more about that real quick, because that alone, I think, causes so many people, probably the majority of people, when they start building their teams, so much anxiety.
Yeah. Yep. So like Jesse was saying, in the Air Force, right? We are pretty much forced into it. Like when you start making rank, they're like, you need to start delegating. It is something that is uncomfortable right away. And I mean, as young as senior airmen are young. I'll just go with that. Not everyone's going to know what a senior airman is, but it's the worker bee. But when you make that next rank of sergeant, you want to keep working. You want to just get the job done, because by the time you make sergeant, you know what you're doing. And so many people just want to get it done. They just want to grow the business, and they feel like they got to do everything. Whereas that is not the way that you need to be doing things. So like in the Air Force, they tell us, step back. Like, what are you doing? You can't be doing that. You need to let these other individuals, these who's, do their job. And by doing that, it allows the sergeant to focus on something that is a little bit more rank fitting for what he should be doing, and focusing on getting other tasks done. The same goes for the business. You need to be focused on something that's going to be growing the business, instead of something that you could hire someone else out to do, and it's going to be uncomfortable. It's not going to. You ever heard the saying, if you want something done, get it done, or do it done right, do it yourself?
Yep.
Everyone's got that like instilled in them. That's the way our parents brought us up, and for the last 50, 60 years, I mean, everyone's just do it yourself. Get it done right. That unfortunately will only get you so far in business, and it's not going to allow you to. It's not a scalable. Process, or you're just not going to be able to do anything with it. So, bringing someone on, delegating them to do something or fill a position, delegating them a result, so that way they know what the result is. If they need a little bit of guidance, you can provide a little bit of guidance, but you want to put someone in that position that is going to be a good fit. And that takes getting to know the person a little bit during the interview, getting to know their strengths. You know, if it's someone that's a little bit more analytical, you're not going to shove them in. I don't know what goes on in social media marketing and all that stuff. I don't know if that's an analytical thing. I have no idea, but I would stick someone that's analytical in somewhere like an operations, acquisitions, or financial position inside of a business more so than something a little bit more creative. So just putting people where they belong, listening to them, delegating, those are all very important when it comes to growing a business. And how do I put this? Hopefully I'm not all over the place with this. Just making sure that people are where they need to be. Delegating, getting it outside your comfort zone if you have to handle. If you have to, if they screw something up and you have to handle it, you handle it. You'd be, what's that saying? Be quick to fire, slow to hire.
You know, you brought up something that was really interesting, and I like to point this out for everybody who doesn't know. When you guys come into these lives, these Zooms, these meetings that we have, I want you guys to make sure that you've got a pen and a notepad, because I like to make sure either myself or whoever I'm bringing on is going to be dropping some bombs. And we've all talked about this, right? I just got done talking about how come some people in the same crowd of other people seem to rise up above anybody else. And it's literally because of small things like this. It's like, oh, I jumped onto this Zoom or this live or whatever, and here are some little tidbits that I got from it, and I'm actually going to go implement this now. And everybody else who was on the live and ended up watching the recording had access to the same information, the same resources. So I'm telling you guys right now, it's not what's caught, it's what's taught. I'm sorry, it's not what's taught, it's what's caught. So you catch it by taking notes. So the reason that myself, James, anybody in here watching, the reason that you're not where you are, let me use a blanketed statement here. Now I'm assuming, I try not to assume, but everybody in here watching on all the different formats right now, let's assume, I'm just going to take a big assumption here and just assume that anybody watching this right now is not a billionaire. Well, why aren't any of us in here billionaires? The reason is because we haven't developed the skill set, the identity, the mindset that's equivalent to that of a billionaire. We don't think the same way a billionaire does. We don't value our time the same way a billionaire does. We don't reach out to people and bring different people into rooms that we don't know to create opportunities and have conversations the way that a billionaire does. We play at a different level than a billionaire does. The amount of money that you're making right now in your business is directly tied to the caliber of skills that you bring to the marketplace. So there's this really cool thing where the money that you bring in is just a byproduct of the person that you are. So if you are an employee in your own business because you can't empower your team, you can't be hands-off, you can't trust them. To do that, that is a skill set. If you're having a hard time doing that, then let this be right now. Like, look at that scenario as a big Las Vegas sign that's shaped into an arrow, and it's pointing at that exact scenario right there, and it's saying, this right here is what's keeping you from freaking scaling. Because you can't give creative control to the people that you've entrusted in those roles. And yeah, you know what? They may fail in it, but you know what? You are also going to fail. They are going to fail, and you are going to fail. They're going to fail in it, and you're going to fail as a leader. But the skill set that you need to build in order to grow a business to make the kind of money that you want to be making for yourself and your team is directly tied to the caliber of skills that you can build, to the identity that you have, to the standards that you set. So if you guys are having a hard time right now shifting your mindset of, well, I can't do this because then it's not going to get done. It's not going to do the way that I want it to do. You know what? Until you let go, it will never be done better than the way that you can do it. And as a matter of fact, let me even challenge that perspective a little bit more. To James's point, everything that James does, I could probably do. If I designated the time and all that stuff into learning it, I could probably do it. When I was going through college, I learned something about myself. When I was in high school, I was like a C/D student. I'm not a valedictorian. I'm not super smart. I'm not a Jimmy Neutron. But how do you explain somebody who went their entire adult life as a C and D student, all of a sudden joins the military, and right out of the military starts going to college and graduates with 3 degrees and a 3.9 GPA, valedictorian, dean's list, summa cum laude? What? Oh, Jesse just must have matured late. That's what it was. All the smart brain cells just adapted when he was in his mid-20s.
They caught up.
Did anybody notice that Jesse's voice got a little bit deeper when he turned 24, 25? No, guys. It's because I learned something. My wife is somebody that's really smart. James is somebody that's really, really smart. Something that might take my wife or James 30 minutes to do might take me 3 freaking hours to do. But here's what I learned. That all these people that I saw that were smarter than me, that were better than me, when I like, it's interesting how your childhood is tied to the things that you do and the ways that you think as an adult. When I look back at my friends and stuff that I had when I was young, there were people that I knew I never, the highest class the math class I ever took was pre-algebra. I never even got into algebra. Yet my friends that were in the same grade with me were doing like trigonometry and all this other shit. And I'm like doing pre-algebra. You can imagine how much of an idiot I felt in comparison. So when I started going to college, all those people in my childhood that I would reflect on, and I used to put on this big pedestal, like, man, they're better than me. They're smarter than me. They're doing more than me. They're going to have more in life than me. All these things, and I hope you guys resonate with this. I hope as I'm kind of describing my childhood and going into adulthood and how things change, I want you guys to, think about some of these scenarios that are equivalent in your guys' lives and your upbringing. Because when I started going to college, that is when everything changed for me. Because if it took me 3 hours to do the same amount of work or same caliber of work to get an A as it would take somebody like my wife 30 minutes to do, the difference is that where most people just wouldn't put in the work to get the same grade because they wanted to go out, or their kids had ballet or dance recital or basketball practice or whatever it was. It was Friday night. It was Saturday night. Going to take the weekends off. Going to do whatever. I didn't. I just put 3 hours in of work of writing a stupid paper just so I could get an A. And here's what's really cool, guys. Here's why I'm bringing this up. Is because as soon as I started seeing, once I got my first A in college, now, even though I'd only done one class, guess what my GPA was? 4.0. In the military, you get to have, in the military, every single year, you have to write a report on how you performed that year. And I always had my college on there. Now, even though I'd only done one class, guess what I got to write on my annual report? Jesse Stanton, 4.0 college student. And I'll tell you guys what, when I saw that 4.0, even though I'd only taken one class, when I saw that 4.0, in my mind now, I was a 4.0 student. I had an identity shift. I was like, wow, this is the level that I operate at now. So I was like, well, I can't go below a 4.0. That just looks too good. So you know what I did, guys? I took one class at a time. It took me like 8 years to get my degree. Because between deployments, between moving in the military, between all this other stuff that I had going on, I was still consistent. At least what I could do was one class at a time. but it was condensed. They were like 5-week college courses, dude.
They're
Like
great.
instead of like 16 weeks or 12 weeks, whatever the hell it is, like it was 5 weeks. So it was really, really condensed. So it was intensive. But that's what I did, guys. I had this identity shift where I was like, this is the level that I operate at now. I'm a 4.0 student. I got 1B, just pissed off about. So now I'm at 3.9. So I got 3 college degrees, 3.9 GPA, summa cum laude, all that kind of stuff. But all of this to say was I'm no brighter, I'm no smarter, I'm no better than anybody else. Anybody can do this. And if you're sitting here thinking that you can't bring somebody else in to your business to help with operations where that's where they shine, then the only thing that's keeping you from making the money and doing the things you want to be doing is this right here, your decision to act. Because the second that you bring somebody else in and you make that identity switch and you say, hey, I'm not this kind of a leader. Look at that as like your 4.0 self. Like I'm now a 4.0. I can't go beneath a 4.0. You need to make the decision today, right now. And you need to say, I am not the leader. I am not the kind and caliber of leader that isn't willing to empower my people, that isn't willing to let go at the risk of looking stupid or sounding silly. Because the caliber of skills that you're going to grow as a byproduct of doing that is so paramount.
Do you think you'd be able to maintain a 4.0 if you would have taken just one more class in the same amount of time that you had allotted to work?
It would have been harder for sure.
Yeah.
It would have been harder for sure. There was a lot going on during that time. My wife was going to nursing school. We had 2 kids while she was in nursing school. So she was in school, 5 days a week, and then she would go do clinicals on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
So we had 2 kids. I'm basically playing single dad while she's at school all day and then at clinicals at the hospitals on the weekends. I'm working a full-time job, basically being a single parent and going to school full-time. And luckily the military was able to, I was working like this weird off shift where I started at like 1 p.m. to like 10 p.m. or something like that.
Crazy.
So luckily they accommodated my kind of unique situation, but I'm sure I could have, man. I would have found a way to make it work. It would have been harder to fit, one more class in.
Yeah.
Doing two at a time, and they were condensed, like I said, 5-week classes. But the point that I'm trying to make here, guys, is anybody can do this. I just wanted to use a couple different scenarios because it's really easy to come on here to get some information and be like, oh, well, Jesse and James just did it because that's who they are. It's like, no, dude, like if only you knew how I grew up, if only you knew the struggles, if only like, let me give you all this example. Let me give you so you guys can look at this and be like, oh shit, that's actually really interesting because I feel like that right now. I feel like I'm experiencing that right now. So I want to make sure that there's change that comes out from these. I want to make sure that there's intention. This isn't just me talking. This has nothing to do with me and nothing to do with James. This has everything to do with you guys. The point of this conversation is just to show you guys and say, hey, actually, that's really interesting. They don't have it all figured out. They don't know everything. They're not just these super genius people that just had it all figured out and was able to, start building and rebuilding and doing all these things. Like anybody can do this. But you've got to understand how to start building a team, talent acquisition. You got to start understanding how to bring in A players into your business, because that in and of itself is a skill. But if you're doing all the things in your business, then that's not when are you ever going to get the time to start bringing in A players into your business? James, any thoughts?
Yeah, you need to be bringing in those A players. You need to start delegating that trust, like we said. If you're so worried about doing everything, you're going to be mediocre at everything. You're not going to be the top 1% of anything. So you do what you do, you, and then you bring someone on and you let them do them. And then you bring someone else on and you let them do them. And you just keep bringing people on as you need the positions filled.
Mm-hmm. And here's the big thing, dude, is like you want to bring in somebody that's smarter than you. Like I think that's another bottleneck that a lot of people have when they bring in other people. They're like, oh, well, I've got to have this all figured out, and I've got to know everything, and I don't have a business that's bringing leads in, or I don't have money raiser, I don't have any of this kind of stuff. Why should I go bring in somebody else? Guys, Allison Dawson, beautiful, wonderful, amazing individual. She came to our event in Las Vegas. She left our event in Las Vegas, went and hired an operations manager. She's freaking killing it. Our clients, this is what I teach inside the Growth Co. From where you are, boom, now you're a world-class leader, and this is everything you need to do. First thing we have everybody do is start hiring an operations manager. I had a one-on-one with Elena last week. Now you've been working with her a little bit, haven't you, James?
Yeah. No, it's crazy what she's got going on now.
Elena, dude, she went and hired an operations manager. She's killing it. She just closed on a property. I had a one-on-one with her last week, and she was telling me, she's like, dude, Jesse, I think I'm gonna buy another 2 or 3 properties this month. Now, for you guys that don't know, like, we're teaching people how to pay themselves when they're buying properties. She skipped the entire wholesaling thing, went and took action. Now she's a leader. She's got an operations manager. She's bought back her time. She's building and developing different skills that are applicable to not only real estate, but to all businesses. She's empowering her people. She's creating new problems. It's just the most amazing thing to see. But this is where it all starts. Anybody in here can do the exact same thing. But again, the reason that you're not is because you don't have the skills that have been brought to the marketplace. You haven't acquired the skills to give you the kind of income that you want, to be able to solve the kind of problems that the marketplace needs to warrant the kind of money you're wanting to make. And the only way you're going to do that is by building a business where you buy back your time. And with that time now, you're not just sitting on your ass. You're focusing and using that time to build and develop your team, to build and bring about more relationships and more opportunities. Freaking absolutely amazing. I love it. This is something that everybody in here needs to be doing. You guys need to be focusing on bringing in an operations manager to oversee your operations. This should be priority one. Actually had a meeting. Speaking with Pansy. Speaking of Pansy, James, you talked to Pansy?
Yeah, I've talked to Pansy. Pansy came out and visited us while we lived in New Mexico.
Dude, I had a meeting with Pansy and her partner last week and this week. And they were going to start out wholesaling. And within 1 week, they have completely dropped everything. And they're like, okay, boom, we're hiring an operations manager. We are going all in on just buying properties. This is how we're going to do it. It's how we're going to structure it. And dude, it's the coolest thing, man. People that you put on a pedestal, people that you look at that you think are like better than you or ahead of you or whatever. I'm telling you guys right now, when I was going through my college experience, the people that I used to put on a pedestal, as I started putting in the 3 hours needed to put together a paper or whatever it was, not only did I see myself start to catch them, but I freaking started to pass them. And the same thing happened in my real estate business. People that I thought were way further ahead than me, that were doing more than me, that knew more than me, I just put my nose to the grindstone. I put the blinders on. I started staying off social media. I stopped consuming content on social media. I just focused on me. Started putting things into place. And well, you know it, when you start putting in the time, if it takes somebody else 30 minutes to do, again, that's the only other difference, is that I was willing to put in 3 hours to write the same freaking paper every single time that same paper needed to be written. And you'll see yourself start to do some amazing things. Kyola, what's up, dude? Take your advice from our one-on-one. Had an awesome new team meeting yesterday. I appreciate you, bro. Dude, thank you, bro. Oh my gosh. I genuinely thank you. I received that. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here, man. I really appreciate it. I loved our time together, and any opportunity I have to connect with you and learn from you as well, dude. I'm very grateful and humbled and appreciative of it. Thank you so much. Sincerely. I really mean that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. James, what are people missing right now? Anything that people need to know? I mean, there's so much we can cover when it comes to operations, but
Yeah, when it comes to operations, we'll stick with that. Y'all know you need to find the operator. So, but when it comes to operations, I'd say one of the things I'm seeing the most of, which is not good, is the so everyone knows what an exit strategy is, and so many people just think that that's on the back burner when it comes to and I'm saying this for a reason, so just stick with me. So many people are throwing that off. They're like, it's an exit, like way down the road. I don't have to worry about that. Like, we're gonna keep the property. Okay, you're gonna keep the property. Got it. So when you're underwriting these properties, and I'm kind of jumping in underwriting here. Underwriting is where I'm seeing a lot of people lack in the proper due diligence when it comes to acquiring properties. Not enough is being done in the initial parts of acquisitions, making sure that these properties fit. People are jumping into properties too soon, and they're ending up with properties that they can't refinance on the back end because the proper due diligence wasn't done. So when it comes to operations, I would say getting the due diligence done, making sure that you have multiple of everything that you need, and making sure that the the numbers are straight. I'm seeing a lot of like lacking in those areas, and when they're lacking in those areas, it's going to start pulling your operations all sorts of wonky because you're going to have to focus on trying to fix all that crap while you got rehabs going on and trying to manage other property. It can throw your entire thing out of whack. So
100%.
just I would say making sure that you're taking action, but make sure that the person that you put in place is making sure that that due diligence is done, that everything is done right. You've got the exits, you've got all your numbers done right, making sure that in a year when the notes come and due, you're going to be able to just keep moving forward.
Right.
Especially with the buy and hold.
Right. 100%. I think what you said exactly ties right into what Allison is saying too. She says, be picky on who you hire. Don't hire out of convenience. Don't pick the first person that says they want to be your ops manager. I 100% agree with that. That's one-on-one right there. The very first thing that I tell anybody is anytime anybody brings anybody into their business, start building a team, an acquisition manager, a cold caller, a disposition manager, whatever it is, they put a post out on Facebook and they hire out of scarcity and convenience. They hire out of one of those two places because it's convenient. This person seems cool. They, whatever it is, there's no due diligence behind it. There's no, ensuring that they can actually solve problems. Actually, let me give this to you guys real quick. Everybody write this down. This is going to be so good for you guys. If there's anybody in here that is saying, oh, well, I don't have a business. Again, I don't have business. I don't have leads. I don't have anything going on. Jesse wants me to go hire an operations manager, but I can't do that right now. Do you guys realize that everybody that comes through my cohort, for the most part, I'd say 90% is also in the same boat where they're pivoting from wholesaling and going into buying hold. And they're trying to figure out how to be a better leader, how to structure, like do all these things. And so they have the same frame of mind that's like, Jesse, I don't have a business built yet. Like, why would I how do I hire an operations manager? Let me tell you guys this. This is what you do. If I was hiring James, write this down. I'd say, James, hey, thank you for meeting with me today. Hey, just real quick, I wanted to kind of give you some insight into where I am, who I am, what I'm doing, and where I'm going. So we've been traditionally wholesaling, and right now we're in the middle of pivoting our real estate business into more of a buy and hold and building our own portfolio. So you actually caught us right in the middle of this pivot. Bringing in an operations manager is going to be our first hire. And this is kind of what we're looking at. These are what the milestones look like over the next 90 days. So we want to bring in somebody who can take their experience, put the right systems and processes in place to build the operations to where it needs to be, so we can start hitting these milestones over the next 90 days. We want somebody who can come in and who's not afraid to fail, to try, to throw out ideas, somebody that we can work and grow this company with. And so that's where we're at right now. What questions do you have? Or what you could do is I'd start throwing out, maybe specific scenarios. So I'd throw out a scenario and I'd say, hey, James, right now for operations, this is the bottleneck that we're having in our business. With your experience and what you've done so far, what are maybe like 2 or 3 things that you could see coming in and doing right off the get-go that would help solve this problem? Now, some of you guys might be thinking like, holy crap, Jesse, that was extremely smooth. That was smooth AF. Well, guess how I got to be that smooth? If I was spending all of my time in the business doing things that I wasn't good at, and if I was afraid to let go, if I was where a lot of you guys are, and I was doing a lot of the things that you guys are doing, I never would have had the time to be able to build these skills. So again, the money that you have coming into your business every single month is a direct reflection of the caliber of skills that you bring to the marketplace. So if you're not bringing somebody else in and empowering these individuals, then you're doing it wrong. So I want to leave that with you guys. You know, for those of you guys that don't know, we have some really, really amazing things going on inside the Growth Co. For those of you guys that aren't familiar with our program, we teach a lot of this stuff. We teach everybody how to become better leader. I mean, there's 2 things that are going to impact your business, your income, your relationships more than anything else. And that is becoming a world-class leader and changing your environment. And we take both of those things very seriously. I mean, you've seen what our clients are doing. I mean, Jamie raised like $1.2 million or something like that in less than 30 days.
Oh, I heard that.
Dude, doing amazing.
That blew my mind.
Right? Incredible, man. Like, you can't afford to not be part of this community, because this is the type of intentionality. Dude, I love doing one-on-ones. James loved doing one-on-ones. Like, we really care about results, and we pour into all of our people. So if you guys want, actually, you know what? Not only, here's something that's really cool that I'll say, because I don't know that anybody knows this. Not only do we show you guys how to start building a team, how to start finding A players and coaching you on how to do that stuff, but then we coach your team. So we show you how to go hire and bring in an operations manager so you can buy back your time, you can grow your real estate business. And then guess what? And then James Hostert, the man, the myth himself,
I got to yell at him,
gets to help you train your VA. I don't know anybody else that tells you what to do, how to do it, and then goes and trains your team for you. Freaking amazing. Absolutely amazing. Love this. If you guys want more information, I've never seen anybody else do this, by the way. This is the level that we operate at. This is the standard that we operate at. If you're tired of having the last 6 months be the exact same thing, guys, reach out to Haley or put a 1 in the chat. You guys do not make whatever you guys do, whether you join or you don't join, whatever, just don't make 2025 a freaking repeat year. For everybody who wants to take the bet on themselves, everybody who's sick of being in the exact same place every single month and every single year, you can't afford to not be part of this. I can guarantee you, we can help you. I can guarantee you, we can help you. Guys, make sure you guys reach out to Haley. Love you all. James, thank you, brother. Thank you for jumping on today. Really appreciate you. Appreciate your friendship. You and Carlin, your family, you guys mean everything to me. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you too, man. Love you too.
All right, fam. You guys have a good one. We'll chat with you guys later. Don't forget, reach out to Haley.